Okay, welcome back. This is going to be my second video. So in the first video, I mentioned how there's three parts to this program, and I covered the rest and recovery because that was the fastest one, the easiest one to cover. I'm going to cover the diet part in this video. You know, it doesn't take a lot of discipline to get 7 hours sleep or more, and what you're going to find as I get into these other aspects, there's going to be more discipline required. Basically, I like to think of it as the 3 Ds: discipline, dedication, determination. If you can do those 3 things, this program will work. So I want to talk about food. When you do this program, you have to eat 6 times a day, every 3 hours. And the reason I like to use automobiles as a comparison. You don't want the gas tank to run empty because you'll stop. Well, your car stops when you run out of gas. You don't. What happens is your body turns on itself for the energy to keep you going. And in the case of ectomorphs, we have very little, if any, body fat for it to turn on. So it goes to the muscle, the protein, and it uses that. So if you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, this isn't going to work, because what happens is breakfast gets burned up halfway to dinner. Now you're burning your muscle that you're trying to build till you get to dinner. So you got to do this 6 times a day, and you got to strive for 1,000 calories a meal, which would be 6,000 calories in a day. It's a lot, but you need a lot because your body is inefficient. It's not a mesomorph. You need to overload it to get the results that you want. Now, I copied down my diet program when I was doing this, and I went from 165 to about 200 pounds doing this diet. I wrote it down. Back then, most of this stuff, I had no idea how many calories I was eating. Today, it's so easy. I went on the internet, took my diet, put it on a website, you know, how much calories in this, and I was able to calculate what I was eating. At the time, I didn't know that I was eating 6,175 calories. I just knew that I had to eat high calorie food with every meal, and it happened to be this. So remember, your lifestyle isn't going to be exactly like my lifestyle was. I had a job. I had to be in an office at 8 o'clock in the morning and got off at 5. I had an hour for lunch from 12 to 1, and we had 2 10-minute breaks. One in the morning, you know, between when I got there and lunch, and one in the afternoon before I went home. So here's how I did this. And I lived at home. I lived alone. Okay, I had a girlfriend, but we didn't live together. So it was me living alone, and that's my job. It took me 20 minutes to get to work. So what I did is I would shower at night. I'd get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get dressed, go right into the kitchen. I would scramble 5 eggs, fry 5 strips of bacon, make 2 pancakes. I had this pancake mix stuff to make your own pancakes. And I'd have a glass of apple juice. I put ketchup on the eggs and syrup on the pancakes. I've calculated, according to the website, that's 1,200 calories for breakfast. Okay, then before I went to work, I would take a package of spaghetti, take half the package, boil it in water, make half a package of spaghetti. Take that and divide it by 2. I had 2 Tupperware bowls. Put half in one, half in the other. I poured tomato sauce in both, put some Parmesan cheese on them, put those aside. Then I took about a 16-ounce glass of milk, 2 of them, put them in a blender, and I had this weight gain powder. I mean, I think they call them protein powders now, but it was for weight gain because it was high in calories. You can buy protein powder, you know, that's got hardly any calories in it at all. The purpose was the calories. So a scoop was about 500 calories, and I put 2 of those in, blended it up, and I had 2 thermoses, half in one, half in the other. I went to work. at 9:30, which would have been 3 hours after I had my 1,200 calorie breakfast, I took a 10-minute break. I scarfed down a bowl of spaghetti and drank my shake. And that was 1,000 calories. So my gas tank was draining, and by 9:30, it wasn't empty yet. I filled it back up. So now, 12 o'clock, I go to lunch. There was a Burger King near my office, and I used to go there every day, except one day a week. There was a Mexican restaurant, and I would go there. The Burger King, I got a Whopper hamburger, an order of fries, and a chocolate shake, and it came to, according to the internet, it's about 1,500 calories. If you want to gain weight fast, you eat at fast food restaurants because they're loaded with calories. But you know, the other thing with this is finances. Can you afford all this food? And we'll get into that in a second. So my morning break, 1,000 calories, filled the tank up, and by lunch it was draining again. I filled it back up. Okay, now about 3:30, which is 3 hours after lunch, I ate my other bowl of spaghetti and had my other shake, another 1,000 calories. So as my lunch was draining, I filled it back up. I went home, and on non-workout days, I ate at 6:30 at night. I would have chicken most nights, and one night a week, maybe twice, I'd have a steak. And then I'd have a baked potato with lots of butter, and I used to eat broccoli at dinner. And the reason, broccoli is not a food that's going to help you gain weight, because it's low in calories and it's filling. You know, it's a double whammy. But when you're eating this much food, sometimes you need a little help pushing things through. And broccoli is high in fiber. So I used to eat some broccoli with my dinner. And then I'd have I used to drink a lot of apple juice. I'm not a Coke person. That came to about 900 calories. So now I'm filled back up. Now I used to go to bed around 10 o'clock. So 9:30 comes, the tank is draining. I had another protein powder, but it was casein protein. It's apparently they claimed that it was slower digestion. So I used to drink one of those before I'd go to bed, because you're going to be 8 hours of no food. And I was hoping it would help, like assimilate longer during the night. And then I used to throw a bag of that microwave popcorn. I'd microwave it and I'd eat the whole bag. So it was the shake, the popcorn. It came to like 575 calories. So I totaled all that up. I was eating 6,175 calories a day. Now, I could afford that easily. My job, I was making enough money. Maybe you can't. This is where you've got to fit this into your lifestyle. There's no options other than 6 meals a day. You can't change that and make this work. So now you look at your lifestyle, and let's say you say, well, there's no way I can eat food between breakfast and lunch. Then this won't work. So I'm telling you up front, because I don't want you to waste your time. But most people can find 10 minutes. And it doesn't really matter what kind of job you have. If you work construction, right, you can tell the boss, I need a quick 10-minute break. I could eat that spaghetti and drink that shake in less than 10 minutes. And so for you, the key is going to be, can you afford the protein powder? Can you afford, spaghetti's not that expensive. But you look at the cost of this, and then try, if you can't afford it, figure out, well, what can I substitute for the more expensive, like eggs. Eggs used to, when I was doing this, eggs were cheap. Now they're not that cheap anymore. So maybe you substitute. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what I did, and you got to make it work for you. But the 6 meals a day is not negotiable. If you can't do it, then, I'm just telling you up front, don't waste your time doing all this, because it's not going to work. What's going to happen is you're going to fill the tank, you're going to drain the tank, your body's going to use itself for energy before you can fill it again. And by the end of the day, all the working out is going to be wasting time, because the muscle you tried to build got used up for your energy. So and let me, the second part of this is I did this for 3 months. After 3 months, I was right there at 200 pounds, but I didn't like, you couldn't see my abs. I think I mentioned that. My waist got big, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go back down. I waited till I hit 200, and I decided to go back down. Okay, 6,175 calories for me was more than enough. So what I did is I changed up the program. I went to 4 meals. I had 4 meals a day. I cut out 2 meals, and they were low calorie, not high calorie. It's easy to do. I mean, I'd have like eggs for breakfast and maybe a little bit of cottage cheese instead of what I was having. I would have maybe instead of the weight gain shake, I would have the casein, which is lower in calories. I'd have that before lunch because I'd get hungry. I get hungry fast, and you probably do too. And then when it was lunchtime, I didn't go to Burger King. I had a healthy lunch, and then I'd have dinner. And I wouldn't have anything before bed. I lost weight so fast. But then what I did was, when it was time to do it again, I decided, I want to see how big I can get again. I tried less calories. So the second time, I got rid of the bacon for breakfast. I got rid of the shake for lunch, and I cut the spaghetti in half. And I calculated on the internet that I cut out about 1,300, I think it's 1,300 calories. So I went from, now remember, I don't really know the numbers at that time. I know them now. I went from 61.75 to 48.75, and this wasn't working. In other words, when I get to the weights part of this, I'll explain how you know if it's working or not. But it wasn't working. So for me, 48.75, let's say 4,900 calories, that wasn't enough. 61.75 was more than enough. So I went in between, but my suggestion to you is start out high. See what you can do. See how you can transform yourself, and then make the decision. Yeah, I like the way I look, but I kind of miss my ab. Then you adjust. But to start, my suggestion is 6 meals a day, 1,000 calories a meal, as close as you can get to that. So as close as you can get to 6,000. Okay, and they're all important. Rest and recovery, diet, and the workout. They all work together, but this one of the 3 is the most important, because if you do this right and you're only getting 5 hours of sleep, your progress won't be as good as it could be, but you will make progress. If you decide you don't like my workout, that you want to work out 2 hours four times a week, this isn't enough, whatever. You want a different workout routine, you will still get results with this diet. But if you do my workout and you get 8 hours of sleep a night and you don't do this, it's not going to work. So this is the most important part of this program. So take what I just showed you in terms of food, apply it to you, figure out, listen, if you're married and you got 3 kids, your situation's way different than mine, but you got to figure it out. I'm giving you the blueprint. This is how I did it, and it worked for me. Now you figure out how to make it so that you can eat 6 times a day, make it so that you can afford it. It's not a burden in your life with your family or whatever, and that's the other thing. Now think about this for a second. Your wife wants to go away for a weekend. Okay, imagine now, you're eating, you're trying to do this, you're on the road somewhere, and you have other people to consider. That makes this really tough. So I can't tell you what to do because I wasn't in that position. I had the I was in total control of this. I'll tell you, I'll admit this. My girlfriend was not my top priority. This was. She was second. And she knew it. She figured it out that she was second. So, and I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is that's why this worked for me. I dedicated, discipline, dedication, and determination. I had all three, and I was going to make this work, and it worked. And I did it twice. The second time I went even farther, but like I said, I had the same problem with a lot of fat stores. So the thing you have to understand about this is if you're a true ectomorph, you're never going to be, say, 5'10", like my height, and 200 pounds, and look like you've got 3% body fat. An 8-pack. You know what I'm saying? You're not. It won't, because your makeup won't allow that. So what you have to do is you have to accept the fact that if I'm going to be 200 pounds, I'm going to do it and try to be as ripped as I can with as little body fat, but there's going to be body fat. I don't know what my body fat was, but I would guess before I started it was 3%, and probably 15 to 20% when I was 200 pounds. And if I kept going, I got up to 205. Let's say I wanted to see if I could get up to 220. My body fat would probably be 30% plus, because it's the only way that your body is going to allow that to happen. You're only going to get so big. So be realistic. 200 pounds is a good number. If you can get if you're an average height guy, let's say 6 feet or less, to be 200 pounds and not be out of shape is, to me, it's a good goal to shoot for. You fill out your clothes, you're healthy, you're not going to be fat. It's hard for us to get fat because we just burn calories too fast. So that's it. That's the diet part of this. I'm going to do one more video on the workout part of this, and the diet will come back into play in that video because they kind of work hand in hand. I told you, make notes on the notepad. The key points here: 6 meals a day, 1,000 calories a meal, or as close as you can. Let's say you get to 800. What is that? 8 times 6. See, that's 48. That wasn't working for me. I wasn't progressing like I should. So that may not be enough. But anyway, you got to figure that out for yourself. But you got to figure it out before you start. That's the key. You got to have the plan in place before you start. How, go online and figure out how many calories stuff are, figure out what you can afford, figure out how you're going to do it 6 times a day. Have that all in place. In fact, what you really should do, a week before you lift any weights, you should be eating your new diet. You should be priming your system for a week of this before you start lifting. Okay, so have this ready to go. Have your sleep thing ready to go, 7 hours or 8 hours, whatever you can do. And once you've got that in place, then watch the next video, which is going to be the actual workout. Okay, so that's it for this one, and I'll see you at the next one.